The views and opinions expressed in the following program are those of the hosts and guests, and not necessarily those of the staff and management of WWDB TV. Hot topics, food, fun, entertainment, and serious business. Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
We have food and fun today. I've been on a roll with like the whole food thing. And one of the things that's very important to me about really talking about nutrition is finding ways to help people transition to a healthier lifestyle, but also not to cut out the things that make you happy. That you know, the food items that make you feel fulfilled. You know, because otherwise you're not going to stick to, honestly, if I see another vegetable, and you know, I had to break down just recently. I bought a steak. Oh. I know. Girl, it was so good.
I love steak.
And it was just sort of like, and the puppies were panting, and I just said, too bad for you.
They love that.
Too bad for you. This is Chef Michelle Basinski of M&M Love, and so she does some amazing work here in the community. That's how we met, was you were doing classes, and that's how we became, and that's how she's become a regular on the show, because what I love is that she takes catering, first of all, she takes the mystery out of catering, but she also has found a way to create meals and different items that don't take forever, because there has become this misconception here that people are eating fast food because it takes too long to cook. And if you've ever been in the drive-thru at McDonald's, you know, you could have been home and cooking by the time you get that Big Mac, but I'm not one to gossip.
And
I'm
had
just
a better
saying.
meal,
right,
too.
Right,
exactly.
So, just to catch everybody up, you have been loving, you've had a love of cooking since you were a child.
Oh, yes. I started when I was 10 years old, and that was out of necessity, though, but I didn't realize how much I loved it until I knew I loved it because I kept doing it. I wasn't good at it, but I kept doing it. And by the time I was in my 20s, I said, oh, okay, well, I love to cook. I love to do this. I used to love to make breakfast for my daughter. I'd make French toast, and I'd do the shortcakes. What I'd do is I'd take in a whole loaf of bread and make French toast, and then she'd have a hot breakfast every morning.
Right.
Same with pancakes. I'd make them all at once, and then all week long she'd have a nice hot breakfast because I made it in. But that's the whole, you know, it's a shortcake, it's a shortcut to short food. You know, cooking does not take 3 to 6 hours anymore, and it shouldn't take 3 to 6 hours because...
Do you think that people have gotten kind of, not spoiled by, but because they watch the cooking shows? Because I'll be honest, when the Iron Chef first came on, my sister and I, independently of each other, were like little puppies waiting for the Iron Chef, you know, and Masamoto, and I loved like the whole like subtitles and speaking.
Well,
but to watch them actually do it, it looked like it was so intricate. And we actually watched the premiere together, and we were both sitting on the couch, kind of going, I watch these shows because I think I could do it, but the truth of the matter is it looks like a lot of work.
Well, that's the trick of a chef, though. We want to make you think that it takes forever to cook something that good. How are they going to make money if they do? You know, really? How are you going to go to their restaurant?
So
How are you
true.
going to ask them to come and do a party for you?
Right.
They want you to think it's too hard for you to do. Let me do it for you.
Right.
I'm sorry. That's wrong. And all it's done is made people think, if it's that hard, I'm not going to do it. And they go and run and buy frozen food, microwave food, fast food. They don't cook at home anymore. And that creates a domino effect, because think about this. You're not cooking anymore. You're buying all this fast food. Your child is getting fat because you're not cooking. You're also affecting the family time. There's another domino effect. That's not even food time. That's a family time where my family used to get together. My dad said, don't answer the phone at dinner time. We'd all sit at the table. The phone would ring, and guess what? We ignored it.
Right.
We had to sit at the table, eat dinner together, talk about what happened that day or that week, and we ate dinner together and had family time every single day. Well, they don't do that anymore.
Well, no. Now family time is you've got the wrappers from all the fast food as everybody's watching something on Netflix.
Or playing with their phone or their computer, and they're not, half the time they're not even sitting together anymore.
Right.
There's no such thing as communication within a family. So it's created a really large domino effect.
I wonder how many kids growing up today even know how to set a table. Do they even really know how, like, what side the fork and the knife go on? Or, I mean, have they even seen the setup outside of a restaurant?
Exactly that. And how many of them know etiquette? How many of them know how to sit down and actually eat a meal with manners? A lot of them don't. I had a friend, and we're not going to mention names, but she had a little girl. She was just before, she was getting ready to go into first grade. And she had this really bad habit of not sitting down to eat. She would do this, and she'd fall off her chair and do everything. She'd run and grab her food and run and wouldn't sit down. She also sat, and I call this chipmunk eating.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't matter what it was like this.
Right.
And I'm like, come on, child, learn how to eat. So I told her mother, I said, you need to do something. I said, when she goes to school, first of all, they're not going to let her get up and run around.
Right.
She has to sit down and eat. And second of all, if she starts that chipmunk eating, she's going to have everybody making fun of her and teasing her. You need to do something. You need to teach her. So what happened that summer before? Michelle got to teach her etiquette, and I taught her manners. And by the time she got got ready to go to school, she had broken those habits about how not so, and she's doing great now. She's 14 years old, 15 years old now, and she's a beautiful girl. She's very smart, and she's doing really awesome. Yeah.
Now you came through the Cordon Bleu here
Le
in
Cordon
town.
Bleu,
So
yes.
you trained there, and then at what point did you decide, you know what, I want to be my own boss?
Well, no, I after all my working years of working for somebody else all these years, as I went into school, I knew exactly what I was going to do.
Right.
I knew what I had to do to get to that point.
Right.
I had to do my externship and everything for somebody else. But when I went into school, I had planned already by that time that I was going into business by myself. I was tired of people telling me how I was going to cook, how I was going to work, how I was going to do this. It was just a freedom I did not want to give up.
Right.
So,
and we were talking before the show, the food industry, the restaurant industry, and especially the high-end restaurant, is still a very male-dominated field.
right.
You know, there's just not a lot of you guys, even in the catering business, probably more women caterers, because it does give you the freedom of working for yourself. But within on the strip or even most restaurants, you see a bunch of guys.
Yeah, and it's hard for women to get into that spot. I mean, luckily there are programs out there that actually cater to women to help them get the loans for their businesses and things. But as far as getting up there where the elite is,
Getting your show on the Food Network.
getting your, not just the Food Network, anywhere. I
Right.
mean, as far as I'm concerned, I just want to be a very pronounced person in my own community. I want them to know me. Oh, we need Chef Michelle for our stuff. We need her to do our party. We need her to do this.
Right.
That's what I want to do. I'm not worried about, hey, it'd be great, okay?
Right.
I'm not saying it would.
If it happens.
But Food Network is not my priority.
Right.
My priority is my community and making sure that I can give back to what I think is necessary to make my community successful.
One of the things that I loved about from when I first met you, and for those of you who have not seen Michelle on, I always give this disclaimer. I stalked her. I stalk almost all of my guests. God forbid you should drive by me or pull up next to me and say hi to one of my dogs. Do you want to be on my show? It's like,
Yeah.
who are you? Why are you doing this? But one of the things that attracted me to you was that you are very community based, but you deal with the youngsters, like your friend's daughter, and seniors. These two groups aside need two different skill sets, but the same skill set. The ability to feed themselves and do it in an economical manner, but also in a way that's not threatening. They don't feel like, it's like this big chore.
They all have to be retaught, too.
Yes.
You have to teach them how to cook. The younger ones don't even know what a fry pan and how to use it correctly, or a spatula. You show them a spatula and they're going, I don't know what that. You flip the toast with it when you do a grilled cheese. That's something they'll say. They don't even know what the name is, okay? The seniors now, on the other hand, they may know what their tools are, but they don't realize what's available in the stores anymore. We have progressed so far ahead of what we were in the 50s and 60s. You can make a meal in 45 minutes, and I'm talking a 3-course meal. I'm actually teaching my seniors how to make a 3-course meal, and that includes dessert, that includes the main, the side, and even a salad on the side. How to make all of that in 45 minutes time.
Right.
It's like this dessert here that I made, which is a shortcake, shortcake. This has 5 ingredients in it. You can make shortcake and you don't have to use tons of sugar or anything to do this.
And we're going to have this recipe on our website, so
it's beautiful. And
now, what all went into it?
We put cream cheese was in this, a little bit of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla, and you can use heavy whipping cream or you can use Cool Whip, which is a non-dairy product. So those people that are dairy. Lactose intolerant or anything, they don't have to use the heavy whipping cream. But you mix the cream cheese, the powdered sugar, the vanilla, all together. In 5 seconds. And then after you've softened the cream cheese, then depending on the berry, and
in your recipe you've got strawberries, but you actually use blueberries.
Because I wanted to show you can use all the fresh berries of the season. What I did, and I found out, the best thing to do is to chop these berries up. Don't add sugar to them. Don't do anything. Just rinse them off and cut them up. Now the blueberries, since they're small, you don't have to cut them.
Right.
You just rinse them and dry them. So this is a store-bought pound cake. You can get,
and it looks glorious. And for people who are having, somebody's just dropping in, and you need to have
something quick and easy. It's already made for you. Or you can go into Smith's and get their little pound cake. You can also use angel food cake. No calories on the angel food cake.
Right,
okay,
exactly.
Just all the good stuff here.
Yeah.
And you spread the cream cheese on, then put the berries, same on the top. And look at this. This is how easy. This was done in 10 minutes time. And then all you do, you can do this ahead of time, put it in the refrigerator, and then when your party is coming, you just pull it out. Now, this has been sitting out for about, an hour now, because I had it in the refrigerator before I brought it. Right. And I got here early. But see, it's still very nice and set. It's not melting. It's not doing anything.
Right.
It's a beautiful, beautiful, to me, that looks, it's homemade, it's gorgeous, but it's yummy.
Yeah.
And it's got the beautiful center. It looks, the sides are it's gorgeous.
It's totally professional. It's fantastic.
And you can do this with raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, strawberries. You can slice the strawberries and just lay them nicely on top. You can do every kind of fresh. You could do the peaches. When peaches come in. And actually, I was thinking about this, since you can layer them instead of mix them into the cream cheese. How about mandarin oranges? Wouldn't that be yummy? With a nice lemon cake, lemon pound cake or something, or the orange pound cake. Oh yeah, see, and that's how you met. And I'm teaching them how they can change the flavors, go with what they want, and you can change this for the season. This is year-round. You can do this. And you can also do this with the frozen fruit. Right. If this fruit that you don't like is not in season, you can go and get the frozen fruit, thaw it out completely, dry it off gently, and then do this.
Right.
And it'll be beautiful. And it's lovely. People And you don't need whipped cream, you don't need ice cream, you don't need anything. You're going to love this.
Right. Yeah.
I mean,
Now, I've had the great privilege of hanging out with you as you're teaching young kids and hanging out with you as you're teaching seniors. Let's talk about the young kids, because that's actually how we kind of got started.
Okay.
What impressed me was that you went, in fact, because of you, that's how I found out. And for those of you who don't know, let me just get the word out. CCSD, which gets a bad rap for a lot of different things, but they also do some pretty good things. There is a movement among CCSD. It's Green Our Planet is actually backing it, and we met also through them. What they're doing is they are building gardens, and their goal is to have a garden at every single public school here in Southern Nevada, and they are on mark to get this thing done. To watch these kids, especially kids who are in neighborhoods where, and I grew up at Nellis, I thought everything was covered with cellophane. I don't think I'd ever... Really, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, everything's covered with cellophane.
Exactly.
I didn't know.
You
didn't
just
know
buy
anybody.
it in the store. It's
Right.
already picked
I didn't know
and
that
everything.
people could actually grow tomatoes and go outside or grow basil. Like, I've got to put my basil in this.
Right.
The difference between fresh pesto,
Oh,
night
yes.
and day. So it was so exciting to see these kids go out to their own gardens, which are, really maintained with Green Our Planet. They have the farmers who come out
Right.
and back the kids up. But these kids, they know where they put their carrot seed. And so they are sitting there, just so excited when they were able to actually harvest their own food. But on top of that, watching them come into the kitchen with you as you were showing them how to cook the food they grew. It was magic.
From garden to table.
Yes.
And what's really great, though, see, a lot of children nowadays don't know how to even garden. And you don't know what situation you will end up being in the future when you're in high school or anything. If you can grow some vegetables, you can live off of that. This is how I think of it. You teach a kid to fish, and he'll feed himself forever. If you just give him a fish to eat that day, he's not learning anything. He's not going to take care of himself. He's going to wait for somebody else to give him a fish.
Right.
But you teach him to fish, it's going to be one of the greatest things for him, because if he is in a hard place, at least he can take care of himself.
And I didn't realize until I started gardening, because my very first encounter with gardening, it was a girlfriend of mine, and she was into roses. And she had hundreds of glorious roses that took up a ton of water and took up a lot of time. So on one hand, although I appreciated her gardening, it looked to me like, gardening was like some heavy lifting. Well, fortunately, then I met someone else who was like, no, that's specialty gardening. What you need to learn is how to throw a couple of seeds. And then I remember thinking, I remember that from first grade. Does anybody remember when they had the little Dixie cups, and then they'd have the little sunflower seed, and everybody waited for their sunflower to
There was plant month, and they handed out plants to you.
Right.
To teach you how to take care of a plant.
Yes.
And then they had at the end of the year, they had a plant contest to see how well mine were always dead. I could kill a cactus when I was a child. Now I can grow everything. Mm-hmm. I have figured out how to mix the soil, how to love the soil. It's a love affair, and it'll stay with you once you learn it. Okay.
In fact, my Rose's girlfriend's, when I met her husband for the first time, he said something to me, and I didn't get it at first. He said, well, she makes her own dirt. I'm thinking, I think only God can make dirt.
No.
Just call me kooky, but I don't think that you can make dirt. What he was talking about was compost.
Yeah.
Right. And then once I learned about compost, and then I was going to go get the compost pile, and then I got scared of that. I thought, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put my, all of my fruit and all that stuff in the bottom of whichever, because I grow in succession now.
Right.
So all that stuff is going to eventually decompose. And so then I move on to another pot, and then move on to another pot, because I just did not thought, you get into the compost pile, and you got stuff and little bugs and stuff, and you can hear them squirreling out back there.
But see, those bugs are good for that.
Mm-hmm, yes.
And not only that, it's not just the food. Mm-hmm. It's the coffee grounds,
right?
The tea grounds.
Mm-hmm.
You can throw your tea bags in, your coffee grounds. It's good for the soil. You have to feed your soil too.
Yeah.
It's not just the plant. The soil has to be.
And I have found that my trash has gone down remarkably because I'm not getting rid of plant peelings or that type of stuff. They're all finding everything's being recycled in the backyard.
I always have a garbage can that I put nothing but compost in. And you don't, exactly. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do the compost that way. You can do it your way, like you're doing it, and mix it with your dirt all the time. And then during the wintertime, keep doing it. And just add a little water, it'll break down, and by the time spring comes, when you're getting ready to plant again, that'll all be broken down, and you'll have the most beautiful, soft, rich dirt. It'll be black, black, black. It'll be beautiful. You'll add a little bit of manure to it to bring it back to life, put some worms in there, and that'll just do it, It'll be beautiful.
When my sister was alive, when I first started gardening, and she was just horrified because, just like me, first of all, Michelle was a diva. She wasn't getting any dirt under her nails, and because that was way too much money. Right? No. And so when I first got started, she was the only person in the family who had a van big enough to haul stuff. And so I would call her, and she would, and I can say this on the internet, and I'd say, Michelle, I got to go buy some shit, and she would just start laughing. I said, no, I have to. I'm actually paying money for shit. So you have to bring the van over because I got to go get some, She thought that was the funniest thing. And I caught her actually saying that to somebody. It's like, well, yeah, I can't recycle the dog stuff. That's not going to work. No. I've actually got to pay the money or else I got to find somebody.
You want clean manure.
Right, I want clean manure. I don't want to have to go through all that. But she just thought that was hysterical. But she also thought it was hysterical when I would go out once, like my very first harvest was tomatoes and zucchini. I just think that tomatoes and zucchini are the easiest things to grow. Plus, their foliage, I love the foliage on zucchinis. They just take off. It makes it look like you're this great gardener when, maybe you only get like two zucchinis that you can hit somebody over. I think I may have the pictures on my phone of my very first two. I had to take pictures. I was like, oh my God, I grew zucchini. And so sometimes we'd be outside in the backyard and I would just break off a tomato and start eating it. She'd go, no, go wash it off. Like, I don't use pesticides. What am I washing off? Yeah. In the real world, people just, they're not rinsing everything. The reason why we're rinsing everything is because it's covered with pesticides if you buy it at the store. But if you buy it from a community garden or you grew it in your own backyard, you know what went into it. And no, I'm not going to run inside and wash off my own tomatoes.
And who wants, you want to eat your, my tomatoes, I mean, they get big and they're just, and I can't wait for them to grow.
Right.
I have bacon and lettuce and toast on call for those tomatoes because I'm going to make the first. Right. And my husband and I will live on BLTs all summer long. Yeah. Because of those tomatoes. That's the only way to have a tomato is on a BLT. Oh my God.
And what I try to tell people too is start small the way I did. I didn't start with like this because I wasn't sure if I was going to like it.
And don't buy 20 plants, believe me.
No.
It's a waste of
It's a waste of money. Plus, I learned the hard way. Do not go to Star Nursery or any nursery, Home Depot, anywhere, Lowe's, anywhere. Do not buy a plant unless you already have the hole dug for it when you get home. Otherwise, you will sit that plant on the back patio and watch it burn. So I've done that many times, wasted money on, I'm going to get around to it. Next thing I know,
more than 2 or 3 days, because it'll go into shock because it's not in the same place that it was.
Right.
And you need to get it within 2 to 3 days into a pot or the ground, wherever you've gonna, the raised gardens, whatever.
You need to actually get out of your car with it in your hand and immediately go to the hole and water it in. Otherwise, it's just a waste of your money. Well, so back to the kids. That's what was so neat was they were so aware of when this produce had been harvested.
Oh yeah,
they were just like to actually see what they grew transformed into a meal.
And on top of that, I gave them the recipes so that they could go home because they were also doing a garden at home. So they were able to say, hey, Mom, I'm making the salad. Or, Mom, I'm making this today. This is what we tasted. And I wasn't giving just plain old salad recipes. I was giving the salad dressing. They had strawberries growing, so we made strawberry salad, which they weren't expecting because they were expecting this sweet strawberry flavor. What I made was strawberry with balsamic vinegar.
Ooh.
And they were like, okay, well, what? And I had to explain to them what balsamic vinegar was, but they tasted it and they're going, "Ooh, that's really good." They didn't realize that it could be a strawberry could be savory.
Yeah.
And they were just like, "Oh my God, this is outrageous! I'm going to make this for my mom." And it was great to see these kids get so excited about just vegetables, first of all,
Right,
okay?
exactly.
And then secondly, they were excited that they were going to go home, make something for their parents and say, "See, Mom, I can do this."
Right.
You know, so that's a good start for a child to get mixed up in trying to learn how to cook anyway. So, and I loved doing that for the time that I did it. It to me, is the most exciting thing to do is to teach. I'm all about it, to adults, to children. This is great. I had a girl when she was 16 years old. She had her sweet 16. I was doing a cooking party for her and her friends. She called me this year. She's graduating. I'm going to do another party for her.
Wow.
And she wants me to do this all for her. We're going to do the little graduation party, and I'm going to teach a few things to her. So it's awesome. I love that I'm getting people back in the kitchen. That's the most important
That's the
thing.
bottom
Making
line.
their food, yes.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to be back because I really want to talk to you about the senior programs and the different things that you're doing here in the community, and also Chefs for Kids, because you
yes.
are, see how excited she got? So stick around. Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese. We'll be right back.
Crazy Terry here with your car care tip of the day. So it's not a bad idea every now and then to check your battery. If you don't know how to do it, have somebody check it for you. Just a visual inspection can tell you a lot about your battery. So as we can see here, this battery's got a hold down. It's nice and tight. The cables are on. They don't look bad. We've got a cover. We don't see any corrosion. Everything's kind of tight, looking good. A little bit of dirt, that's normal, but nothing's leaking. No real cause for alarm here. So that's a good sign. Doesn't mean it's good, but at least visually we know that it's intact. Okay, so we're looking at a battery here that shows signs of corrosion. We want to test that battery to make sure it's good. Usually when they're getting like this, there's going to be a problem, leaking some acid at the top. We ran the test and we find out it has 396 cold cranking amps, but the battery requires 650. So it's just not enough. The battery is going to go soon. Better to know now than later. Okay, so the benefits of checking the cable is because this cable's rotted out. What we'll find is this is the problem, not the battery. So it'll save you from buying a battery, still having the nose start, only to find out that it's a cable. This type of corrosion is common in diesels. Okay, so we're getting ready to jump the car, but we have to have some battery cables. And we have to check those too before we hook them up to the battery. So here we have our standard set of battery cables. We just look them over, see if the ends are frayed, if everything's connected all right. Everything looks good here. Wouldn't hurt to check the rest of the cable just to make sure the dog didn't get it and chew it up. We have red and black. Red's positive, black's negative. You always want to hook the positive up first and then the negative, and I'll show you how that's done right now. Keep these off to the side so they're not touching each other. Hook up your positive. You can find that right here by the plus sign, the negative sign. Plus is positive, red. Make sure that's securely hooked up. Keeping these away from each other, hook up your negative cable. Just got to fight it on there, figure out a way to get it. Wiggle it a little bit so it ensures a good connection. Now you're transferring voltage. If I hit these two together, we're going to spark. Kind of want to avoid that. Won't kill you. Kind of fun. A lot of people think if they can turn the headlights on, the battery's fine. That's not always the case. It takes very little amperage to turn a light on, but it takes a lot of amperage to start the starter. I recommend checking the charging system every oil change. At Sun Valley Automotive, there's never a charge for that. This is Crazy Terry with your car care tip of the day.
And we're back here with Chef Michelle Basinski. She has her own catering service, but her real M&M love, one of her passions is getting, as she mentioned before the break, getting people back into the kitchen. I I think I've always really kind of loved cooking, but I kind of got to the point where I just was so busy, I didn't want to do it. And then once I met you, and I've met some other chefs and other people who are just saying, you know what, you're making this way too complicated. And I found out that a lot of vegetables that I thought I didn't like was, okay, Daddy, rest in peace. The truth is my father never met a vegetable that he wouldn't fry until it died. And so I had this, I thought the okra was bad and spinach was bad and all of these vegetables were bad, but they were simply overcooked.
Yeah.
And so the very first time I actually remember making, because I'd seen it being prepared, and I thought, that doesn't even look like it's done. Fresh spinach that wasn't overcooked, that was still like, what a difference. And then I started experimenting and realizing, you know, you can be in and out, and people laugh at me, and there's like a secret society among my friends, but I will admit this to you. I cook for my dogs, because there was a point when I realized I'm cooking anyway, and it's, you know, they're sitting there kind of going, well, what's in it for me? Well, you know what's in it for you, and everybody's going plant-based, and you're going to get over vegetables. Now, I do bribe them. I will throw a little liver, you know,
which
liver
is
juice,
good
whatever.
for them.
It's good for them, and that's the only reason I was able to get Akira, because Akira would not eat cabbage until she got some liver on it. Can I have some more? It's like, oh, I see. You just want the liver, and you'll eat the cabbage. It's like, fine, if that's what I've got to do to get you. But now they're kind of to the point where, as long as it's chopped up, but the only vegetable that they despise, which it might be my fault too, is peas. I can smash peas.
Really?
Yeah, and peas are an ingredient in all major dog foods, you know, major premium dog foods.
Maybe it's because they're small.
Maybe so. They just don't like the whatever
little
there.
ones, yeah.
But once I actually realized that I could be in and out by the time I actually saute my vegetables, and I cook ahead of time, and I've got everything all wrapped up, I'm really in and out of the kitchen in like 15, 20 minutes max. You know, with everything all done, my rice is all done, or whatever starch I'm going to be eating. And I thought, when did I get away from this? I mean, I'm not sure if it was when I went to college and I just started thinking that cooking was too much work.
Well, just take it this way, though. Remember, back in our age days when we were younger, it did take a little longer.
Sure.
Because cooking has come a long way. You go into the stores now, you have all sorts of shortcuts that you didn't have before. And you have better frozen foods like salmon. You can buy salmon in pieces, in airtight pieces. They're not cooked, but they're flash frozen, and they're just as fresh as a piece of fish that you buy in the deli, okay?
Right.
Especially for people that are single or only two people in the family, they can go and buy those pieces of fish and put them in the frozen, and they stay frozen, but they thaw out in 10 minutes.
Right.
And they cook in 5. So, I mean, you're in the kitchen, in and out. The meals, this is what my senior cooking is about.
Yes.
Getting the seniors back into the kitchen, showing them that they can have a full meal in 45 minutes, including a wonderful dessert, and have dinner for them or their friends or a snack, anything, in 45 minutes time. They don't have to sit in the kitchen 3 or 4 hours anymore. Yeah. I'm also showing them the shortcuts with the crock pots. If you have the right tools, which a crock pot costs $25.
The crock pot is my friend. I love it.
The rice cooker is 20 minutes, $15 at Walmart.
Right.
You can buy a small rice cooker for $15. Sometimes 10, depending on if they're on sale. But they're not hard tools to use.
Right.
You push one button for the rice cooker, and you pour your rice in, you know, it's gone, and it's done in 20 minutes. All you do is put it in the thing.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my God, you know, and I'm teaching this. They don't realize what's out there. What I do is I shop in the stores that they shop in to get their food. I show them where they can buy it, how they can get it, and how to prepare it. And they sit there and watch me. I took 25 pieces of salmon into the class, and I cooked all 25 pieces in 15 minutes.
It was fabulous.
And they were like,
I saw that. It was amazing.
They were like, how did you do that?
Yeah.
And, you know, the rice was finished, And they were like, oh my God. And they tasted it. I actually have one lady that's still talking about the salmon. She hated salmon, but she tried it and she goes, really, Michelle? And every week, all she still says is, I can't believe I love salmon. I eat it all the time now, which is a good fish for you. It's a healthy fish for you. It's great for your blood. It's good for, it's got all these nice proteins in it. And it's a light protein. It's not red meat all the time. It's not chicken all the time.
Right.
I mean, now she's got fish she can eat. She can eat, besides chicken and meat, or chicken and pork, you can actually have some seafood and enjoy it.
And I love that. Remind me of the name of that spice that you were showing.
Yes. I have two spices that I have gotten them very acquainted with. One is my nature seasoning by Morton's that I use because it has like 7 or 8 seasonings in it. And seasonings can be very expensive.
Yes. Yes.
And what they loved was this had everything in it. It had the garlic, the celery salt, and it can be used with fish, pork, meat, everything.
Yeah.
And they loved that. Then I also got them acquainted with 5 spice, which can be used with mostly with the fish, the pork, and the beef, depending on how, and the chicken. It can be used. But I've got them trained now, and they love that the seasonings have, more than one seasoning. They're not buying 6 seasonings now.
Right.
They're buying one thing, and they're using it for all of this, and they're going, oh my God, I can't believe it. I give them recipes. I give them a class. I show them how to do this, and I also show them the shortcuts to making this meal.
Right.
They just love it.
Right.
Now they're asking me to teach them a tools class, and I'm going to do that next month. I've given them a class on appetizers because now they're starting to get together again.
Yes.
They're going and taking appetizers to a party where before they didn't go because they didn't have anything. They didn't want to take store-bought stuff. But I taught them how to make appetizers.
I may have to take that class because I'm queen of the stop at the dollar store and get the chips and the salsa. I'm notorious for that. It's like, guys, I can't cook, but that's not true. To me, appetizers, just the word appetizers sounds like it's labor intensive. Sitting here in front of this shortcake, I'm looking at this kind of going, wow, this is something that can be, totally done.
Even you can do it.
Even I can do this. It's kind of shocking, but I think I could pull this off at the next, at the next
That's what
gathering.
I'm saying. All my seniors, they play cards together and do things together, and on the weekends they have little parties. So somebody can bring the dessert, somebody can do this. I've taught them how to make quick and easy soups with their crock pot. They're like, I'm cooking again. Chef Michelle, I'm cooking again.
Well, and here's the best part, too, and what I've seen in just my dietary changes, and you guys know, you've heard me talk about this before, I went from being, and that's why I had to break down and have that steak, because it was just like everything in my body was screaming, steak, steak. But then once I actually ate the steak, it was tasty going down, and then I felt really heavy. Because my body now my taste buds have changed, and my metabolism was going, what is that? It's gonna take us days to metabolize this. So, what I like about your classes too is that they're not so dramatic. You're not asking anybody to make a dramatic life change. You're helping them, you're giving them the life hacks so that they can create food that's fast, that's not going to be them thinking like I was thinking for the longest time, I can't do this because it's going to take so much time.
Well, and the recipes are interchangeable to their needs. I've also, some of them, like I said, this can be made with heavy cream, which is Paula Deen and my secret, and then, or you can use the Cool Whip. I mean, it's really very, very easy. Or the meats are interchangeable.
Right.
If you don't eat meat, you can use fish,
right.
or shrimp or something. You can interchange these recipes. These recipes are not hard, and I've told them that they can. These recipes are made for your imagination. You can do this recipe, which I gave you, or your imagination is going to take you to wherever you like it.
Right.
So if you want to do this vegetable instead, or if you want to do this meat instead, try it. Do it.
Right.
If you don't like the something on there, the seasoning or the vegetable, take it out. Do what you enjoy.
You know what has become one of my best friends? Freezer bags. Because I find that if I'm making something like this and I really like it, you slice it up, you freeze it.
Yeah.
And then you have like a couple of slices to take over. Like I was hanging out with a girlfriend of mine this weekend. We ended up eating Girl Scout cookies because we both shop at the same. And I'll tell you what, those Girl Scouts, they are persuasive. We shopped at the same Albertsons, and the one Girl Scout was on crutches, and I said, "Oh, now you guys are milking this. I mean, really? Okay, I will buy a box." So between the two of us, we had 2 boxes of shortbread and a box of Thin Mints, and I'm sitting there kind of going, you know what? We just really bought the cookies because we want to support the Girl Scouts. I mean, sometimes I just really want to give the Girl Scouts the money and say, sell that box to somebody else because it's just not my thing. But I just, I'm looking at this kind of going, man, this would have been so much more fun for both of us than to sit there and pretend like we were actually in any way, shape, or form. No offense to the Girl Scouts, but the shortbread was kind of dry.
Well, I'm going to tell you, though, every year I buy Girl Scout cookies.
You have to.
$42.
Oh, you have to. Were you a Girl Scout too?
I was when I was younger, and I believe in the institution of Girl Scouts because it teaches them a lot of different things. And things that they need to know, life skills, basically.
Life skills, right.
And
my brothers were Boy Scouts, and so I can't walk by the Boy Scouts either. I don't know why, but but they have the ones with the camping. So then I have to find somebody who's got a family who wants the camping. I can't take them. I can't take them without my dogs. So, but it's a matter of not just supporting the community and supporting these kids, but it teaches them so many
supporting
life
what
skills.
they're learning is
Exactly.
that's what it's about.
Exactly.
Kids nowadays are put on a back burner when it comes to what should we do with them. I mean, thank God the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts but see, parents still have to get involved, and I hate that's kids don't hardly know what a park is anymore, except for there's a gang over there,
Right.
and then, so they're afraid to go out to the park. They're afraid to, trying to find something for our kids to do, and
well, unless
things.
it's an organized activity, like you can see. I love the soccer moms. Don't mess with the soccer moms, because especially like a nighttime game. Those moms are tired. Some of them are cranky,
and they're crazy,
and they're just like, you know what? Don't even come over here, and don't even try to talk to me. I'm here because I have to be, and then that's all there is to it. And I love their dedication. I love all the parents who are doing it. But you're right, because I do have dogs, so I spend a lot of time in parks. I am amazed that unless it's an organized activity, the parks, we have beautiful parks in Southern Nevada.
All
in the
over
city,
Las Vegas.
You cannot say that we do not have the best parks and some of the best dog parks, because a lot of our parks are relatively new. So they've got really, really cool dog parks. So I'll drive around. We don't do the dog park thing because my beasts are just too big and it's just too much of an issue. But I'll be driving through a park like the North Las Vegas Regional Park, the Craig Road Regional Park. In the daytime, other than the skating part after school, you can drive through. It's like, where are all the people? This is one of the most beautiful, and it's the newest official park in Southern Nevada. And other than the dog park and the skate park, it's empty.
Well, and besides, there's one more thing they should be doing in the parks, because, I come from Fort Wayne, Indiana, okay? Our parks, we have parks all over Fort Wayne, but our parks had, during the summertime, we actually had teachers there. They had little things where they taught you how to do keychains. They taught you how to do the sand castles. They had taught you how to make the sand candles out of wax. We'd bring 50 cents and pay to make the keychains and stuff. And then they'd have a lunch day where everybody brought their lunch, and they would have, and then they'd play games and stuff. Right. But see, these parks don't do that. They don't have like life coaches there for the kids to learn little games and little teamwork things and things like that. I grew up with that, but I'm 55 years old.
And also I think that there's almost not even an acknowledgement that we are a 24-hour city. So, and that's back to the soccer moms. And once I started seeing all of these beautiful gardens in the schools, that's when my eyes opened up. I thought, man, we've got all this real estate that we are watering that's really pretty
Mm-hmm.
and could probably throw a couple of pumpkin seeds down there, and let's see how it...
Well, I do think Craig Ranch does have what those you could do community. They have community
one? Really?
They have
Maybe I haven't
community-
seen it yet.
Yeah, there's a few of them, a few parks here. I do know that they have the community gardens.
Right.
And Craig Ranch does have a community
Okay.
garden area.
I'll
I
take a
saw
look
that.
next time I go out there.
It's in the way in the back,
Probably,
though.
yeah.
But yeah, but see, that's where they should do during the summertime. Have maybe some kids events. Have an area for just those parks for
Yeah.
learning how to grow. Kids need to learn things. Not teaching them for 3 months is not a good thing. They
Right.
need something to keep their brains going and develop and do something. Learning, especially at those ages, through 13, elementary to 13 years old.
'Cause at
that's
that-
when their brain
Yes.
is really taking in everything. By the time they're in high school, they've already decided what they're going to take in, and they decide what they're going to do. But elementary to junior high, oh my, yes.
But the things that they've learned in those early years and watching you with these kids, these lessons will never leave them. They'll always remember, regardless if they start eating fast food at a certain point, whatever,
Exactly.
they will know and they'll be able to make the connection between good health and good nutrition.
Well,
because that's something else that's a big
Once they
premature-
learn good nutrition,
Yes.
they take it home and they go, Mom, that's not good for you. Just like with the cigarettes, they
Right.
started doing that too. Mom, you need to quit smoking. Well, Mom, I can grow some vegetables in the backyard.
Right.
How can I do that? Can I
Right.
build a garden? And they do it. And it'll stay with them if they can. If the parents let them feed that nutrition of the brain and of the food. I
Right.
mean, and they'll start eating more vegetables. They'll
And
start doing
You know
things.
the taste is entirely different from something that comes out of the ground in your own property or the real ground and hasn't been shipped in from Peru and sprayed like God knows
God,
what to keep it
yes.
alive long after it should have been. But before we get out, because we're running out of time, Chef for Kids.
Chef for Kids. It's my birthday this month.
Happy
It's
birthday!
on Friday. So what I did, I put a thing on Facebook. I want to raise some money to give to them for my birthday. I told all my friends, I said, please don't buy me presents this year. Just buy me, don't buy me, but buy Chef for Kids. Give them a donation. I would appreciate it. Chef for Kids has been with me since I was in school. I worked for them. I now support them as much as possible. I do donations of my
Now, what
my
is
food.
Chef for Kids, for those people
Chef
who don't
for
know?
Kids is a society that goes around to the underprivileged schools and feeds kids breakfast. And they will pack them a lunch if they don't have any food for lunch. But they're teaching them, and they also give them a nutritional breakfast, and they teach them a little bit about nutrition and what they can do for themselves. Kids nowadays are actually going to school with no food.
Right.
They're not, and they can't get breakfast. They can't get lunch. They can't get anything. They're going home and not eating either. So they even actually on Fridays when they do their class,
Right.
they would look and make sure those kids have a little extra to take home, because if they are children without food, then they probably are children without food at home.
Right.
So it's about the children and making sure that they have something to eat. Trying to think with an empty stomach is not a good thing.
Exactly.
You can't do it.
Yeah.
And children that are starving do things that are desperate. I mean, this year was terrible. There were a lot of home break-ins. 10-year-olds? Come on.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not a good thing. We need to take care of our children in this desperate time right now. They need to be taken care of, and to me that's a very important thing. I love Chefs for Kids. I've been with them. I've been working with them for a long time, and I just love that they're taking care of our children in this city. Okay, so.
And for a lot of people who don't realize, once we started Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese, I've learned so much in this past several months. I didn't realize that we had so many kids who are they're not hungry, they're starving in
Yes.
Clark County, and homeless. The kids who are couch surfing just to make it because they do want to graduate,
Right.
but they don't have anywhere to live. That knocked my Project 150 with Melly Polito and those folks over there.
I know,
Yes,
yes.
that was started by two guys from Rancho, my school. And when they realized that it was a story from many, many, many years ago, that there were all these kids who didn't have anywhere to go for Christmas, who had no food, no extra clothing, nothing.
And they had nothing. They were in high school too, like the high school girls and boys had no clothing to go to their own proms.
Yeah.
I gave them like 10, 12 dresses and some suits from my husband's closet this year. I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm finally getting rid of this, but they're going to where I need them to go. So
for all of you out there, for every criticism that you have about CCSD, try to find out just a little bit more about what's happening with our kids in the schools and people like Chef Michelle who are out there on the front lines trying to make sure that the kids learn things, healthy meals, helping seniors here in the community, healthy meals. A lot of people really care. They're just not getting all of the spotlights that they deserve. That's why I'm trying to spotlight. And you'll see Chef Michelle here talking about all of her different projects. But you can also just go on her website and go on her Facebook page. It is her birthday, so wish her a happy birthday.
Chef for Kids, people.
We'll see you here next week on Live Las Vegas with Rikki Cheese.
Bye.